Helvetia house. This is a repair of a once grand house in Fitzroy that had some significant issues with it, but also had this dodgy 60s brick shit house attached to the back of it that was in, no structural trauma at all. Really, dopey looking, but it was there and it was rigid, and the original heritage building needed a fair bit of love. For a couple of years now, Mark and I have been talking a lot about alts and ads and how it feels like ourselves and most of us seem to be keeping the heritage part where we need to because of council, and then knocking everything else off and essentially doing a new building. And it's like we can remember with Ray, should we actually put this in new builds? And we didn't. We put it in alts and ads. So more and more we are really trying to scrutinise what can be maintained and trying to sort of turn the ego down a bit in terms of that's a dodgy looking extension. Let's work with it instead of knocking it down and doing a masterpiece to ourselves. So that's what this project was all about. In the 60s, there was an extension when it became a dormitory. There were 11 men living in this house at one stage. Suspended concrete slab in the 60s extension. And a bunch of steel holding that up. In the 80s, it was changed so you had 2 flats, one on each level, and the couple that own it now just wanted to use it as their own big, beautiful house. The central part has always been problematic, and they could not solve the water ingress into that part. They thought it was the roof. We think it was probably both the roof and the bathroom. And we just said to them, let's actually get rid of that entire space and turn that into a light well through there and bring in natural light where there were the worst, dodgiest, darkest spaces for 100 years. And through that process of retaining bricks, concrete and steel, we estimate we saved about 17 tonnes of carbon just embodied in the building, which is about over 300,000 CO2 balloons. So, and as with all of our work, it's as sustainable as we can make it and really low running costs and efficient. So instead of doing this, which most of us do, we decided to go in with a scalpel and just cut out the tumour, which was that central part, and tidy up where we need to. And people that know Westgarth Street, like this becomes it's quite a gritty area, leafy but gritty. And these clients are avid gardeners, and they really wanted an oasis in the middle of Fitzroy. And that's what we tried to give them, a lot of green spaces dotted through the existing skin of the building. And if you look at the plan, don't have the pointer, yes I do. If you look at the plan, the grey is the new building, the new insertions, new walls. So we've really worked hard with the existing black, the existing walls, to try and reimagine this building and reduce the amount of waste. Instead of having the central corridor past private spaces, we've gone and used the laneway for the entry, activating the laneway, which is something we'll try to do in all of our projects, but also really condensing the circulation, so it just becomes a little branch where you can go one way, the other, or straight up the stairs. And then when you get up as well, you've got the beautiful light well, but we've actually put a mesh floor there. So again, height and light where previously there was none. So we tidied it all up. Beautiful little AMA moments like this, like the letterbox. Avid gardeners that have lots of produce and that has too much produce. So Mark sketched this out, this tray where they fill it up with stuff for their neighbours to just go and take or throw at the building. Tidying up all of the heritage parts. Through the process of tidying this up, the client saw it and said, oh, can we leave it as timber? And we said, absolutely. And we just sealed it and put it back in place. And so we've cut out that middle part, and this was a big part of negotiation with heritage. We use WebForge, so the oblique view looks very solid. But so that also means you get privacy into the living room. But then as you come around the building, it's actually quite transparent when you front onto it. And so you get lots of natural light coming deep into the house there. And that entry space, we've actually put a pond, so you come and you sort of stamp your feet and over the top of the pond and come into the house. But you can see that oblique starts to get cut off in terms of privacy. And there's the daggy, 60s extension that we just tidied up, repaired, replaced the glazing, but left all the openings where they were. Put a graphic there that is really easy for our clients to go and paint over when it will get tagged, so they can repair that. And then the original garage that we put the produce garden on top of, and we used chain links, the possums can't get in there. But again, keeping all of that brickwork, the fence and everything. Straight down this lane behind us, you get to Rose Street Artist Market and the rest. And there's a lot of sort of pedestrian activity with the community down that area. When you come inside the house, you've got the mat there, so it's a shoes-off house. So you wipe your feet, and then you've got drawers underneath the stairs. So you sit on the stairs, put your shoes away, pull out some slippers, and then you're off into the house. The kitchen area, looking back into that light well, but also the original openings where we've replaced the glazing. On the weekend, they just leave those open and they just chat to their neighbours. It's a really tight-knit community. So it's that great, moments of connection to that laneway and that activation and passive surveillance. And then that spills out to a barbecue in the backyard. Facing that, on the other side, Hilton really likes fixing up old bikes, and the Reefos want to do that in the house. So this is basically a workshop that's right in the living space, where he's got these big sliding doors that can conceal it if if it's just full of shit. Overlap of the new and the old, you can't quite see there, but the glazing actually has HEL, so Helvetia's written on the building in a couple of places. Stair as furniture, so not touching the landing above, and the perforated landing with all of that natural light coming down. When we come up and we head towards Westgarth Street, we've opened that space up, and that's become Van's workshop or art studio and study, and the pin board that we've got there in orange. And then when you head back where the old kitchen used to be, you've got the light well and this sun shading for the depths of summer, and Hilton's study looking down into that light well. And then the master bedroom that spills out to the east to the original 60s patio that we've gone and put more chain link on, and this will, Van will grow creepers over that, so deciduous creepers, so let lots of sunlight in winter and then cut it all out in summer. Thank you. Nailed it. It's like perfect timing because it's the last slide. A spiral connecting the gardens as well. That's Helvetia House.